was, trying to do all the things on the chemical level, on the physical level. This is before I really knew a lot about energy and using our design for healing. But I got better. And so I kind of put it on the shelf for a while. And then last year, maybe about a year and a half ago, one of my good friends came to see me for some biofeedback therapy, and we're working together. And she asked me what I thought about stem cell injections. And I'm like, no. First off, I don't even want to get into where they get them from. But I said, I wouldn't do it. And she said, well, we're just desperate for something. My husband's having really bad kidney issues. They don't think he's going to make it very long. I said, well, I know about these patch things. Why don't you try that? And so she started using them. She started doing all the research, actually, this friend of mine, and sending me all these videos. I'm like, this stuff is incredible. So within 4 months, her husband, who was like in his 70s at the time, they said his kidney function would never improve. They always say it's never going to get any better. I think he was functioning at like 22%. And he went in about 4 months later, and they did all his blood work and all that stuff. And they said, oh, I don't know what you're doing. This can't be right. Your kidneys are functioning at 45%. And the only thing he had done differently was wear these patches. So her and I started doing a deep dive researching it. And what we found out is that the inventor of LifeWave patches, he actually used to work in the military, like helping to create like super soldiers. Like he was some kind of brilliant engineer kind of guy. Well, he got out of that, and he wanted to do something to serve the Father. So he thought about going into like being a pastor or farmer or something. But then he started to think about how he could use that technology to help people heal. And I've heard him say this on several different podcasts and talks, but he said how he figured it out was the first line of Genesis. And that the first line of Genesis, in Barashit bara Elohim et hashmayim ve'et ha'aretz, is like a perfect mathematical sequence. And so he took that first line of Genesis and created this sequence, and he tried and tried and tried and tried, apparently like 39 times. That's why I called it X39. And he finally figured out how to do it. And so you put this patch on certain parts of the body, usually like below your belly button or on the top of your spine, because that affects your ascending energy, your descending energy in your body. Because again, we're making this circle. We're doing this, and then we're doing this. Hopefully always doing this. So he created these patches, and people started to get healed. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, this stuff is pretty amazing. There's tons of peer-reviewed studies. There's tons of science where they've taken, blood work. They've done infrared imaging. They've done before and after scans of the body, and they've seen this dramatic improvement. And what X39 does specifically is help your body to create copper GHK peptide, which copper, you think about the copper top, think about batteries, right? Duracell. Copper is what helps power the mitochondria of every one of our cells. And the problem that we're having nowadays, Noel, is that we have so many dead cells in our body. Basically, they've been zapped through dirty EMF and, frequencies and poor diet and all the heavy metals and all the things they're throwing at us. So we have these zombie cells essentially that are just taking up nutrients, and they're not doing anything. They're not replicating. They're just there. So what the copper does, again, very interesting, because we look at the parts of the tabernacle. Our brain stem is mostly made of this kind of liquid copper. This copper GHK peptide sends this signal through this mathematical code he found in Genesis to the body, and tells the body to start making this copper peptide. It wakes up the mitochondria of our cell, which is basically like turning the battery back on. It's changing the batteries out in your cell. And the cells are able to replicate and reproduce. And so because they're new cells and they can reproduce, they can do all kinds of things. So they're polymorphic or polypotent. So they're able to, if you need a kidney cell, it can become a kidney cell. If you need a liver cell, it can become a liver cell. And they begin to work on the body at a cellular level. But how does it start, right? It starts with information. It's just giving your body the information, and then your body does with it from there. So there's no processing, there's no digesting, there's no sorting it out in your liver. It's just speaking the code of creation to your body to help your body do what it needs to do.